Let's work on adding a center of gravity control. So we'll want to make sure that the orientation of this control is matched with the chest and pelvis. So the entire torso is consistent and it's easier to read animation. Let's go ahead and head over to our top view and we'll grab our line tool. There we go. Let's go ahead and enter our snap tool. We'll right click, turn off pivot, and enable grid points. So what we'll do is create a blocky C shape. So you can follow my lead. I'll go 3 grid lines down. And continue that until we have created our shape. Then we can go ahead and close the spline. Alright, let's right click to exit the line tool and press S to turn off snapping. We could also make sure that the pivot is centered on this object. We'll go to our hierarchy panel and take care of that. Effect pivot only, center. Alright, great. We want this stored in our controls layer, so let's do that. And we'll also recolor it from here. Might as well take care of that now. Great. For the name of this object, that's going to be enum underscore COG01. Alright. We could also make sure that this has been reset. And we'll go ahead and collapse the XForm modifier. Alright, let's move over to the perspective view. So we can work on reorienting this object. Again, we'll go ahead and switch the axis order first. So scroll down. We'll switch this to YZX. With angle snap on, we'll go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. That's going to make sure that this points correctly. We'll alt right click and freeze the transforms of this object. And then we want to change the axis order again to what we'd want to use for animation. So we'll scroll down and we'll go ahead and find ZXY. Alright, great. Let's go ahead and align this to where it should pivot from. That's the pelvis. Hold down Shift, press A, go ahead and click on the pelvis bone. Alright, now at this point we just want to kind of adjust the shape. Feel free to go to the Modify panel to do that. We just want to enter our vertex of object level. We'll go ahead and grab all of our points. If we were to use our scale tool, you can see that right now we're scaling from the pivot of each point. However, we can always scale from the center by changing our pivot setting to center. So if we were to change it to that, you should notice that we'll be able to now scale from the center of this object. Alright, so I think that scale will work out well. Alright, now at that point, we can now go to our Move tool. I'll go to the front view. We'll just kind of slide these points over just to make sure that the shape is centered. Alright, great. Now going back to our perspective view, let's go ahead and take a look at how close it is to the torso. And right now that's difficult to select, so we just want to drag this back so that's not a problem anymore. Alright, great. So we have our center of gravity control in place. I think that's going to work out just fine. Let's go ahead and work on linking our chest and pelvis controls. So we'll just go in and link those two controls to the center of gravity. Alright, so once that's done, we'll go ahead and select all 3 controls, right click, or alt right click that is, and choose freeze transform and choose yes. Alright, so we know that when we freeze our transforms, we just need to check our axis order. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. Remember that will be set to ZXY. Do the same thing for the pelvis and for the chest. Alright, so we can go ahead and start to test this out. Grab our rotate manipulator again. When we're in gimbal mode, we can go ahead and take a look. Alright, so I think that's going to work out pretty well. Awesome. Alright, well, now that that's finished, The next control we'll create will be our global control, so that we can start to resize the rig and reposition it wherever we'd like. It's a good idea to create that now before we start to create more complex systems, because we'll start to link those systems back to the global control. So it's a good idea to have that set up now so that we don't have to redo a lot of work if we had waited to create the global control later on. We might find that we have a lot of work to redo or a lot of things to reattach. So we might as well go ahead and create that global control now so we can speed up the time it takes to bring this control rig together. So that's what we'll work on in the next lesson.